and I don't know how are you guys feeling for time at the moment. I've just clocked that we've been going for about an hour so far. I'm still really enjoying myself, and I do want to sort of switch gears slightly and rather than just me staring at the screen, because it's a very long process. I don't have all evening, I will say that. But what I do want to do is show you some of the other things that I've made with this sort of pattern. And I think I'll switch over. I'll save what we've done so far, and I'll switch over to that so you can see some other types of things. Now, this is IdeaSpat 2, I believe. And let's open up IdeaSpat 1. So one of the things I often do is just chuck lots and lots of ideas down in one file. It'd be the equivalent in Blender of just modeling several items in a scene all in one place. Here we go. So this is a series of just ideas, and I just want to show you that you can put all of these ideas together, like you can see in front of us here, or you can just keep them as separate patterns and ideas. And a lot of this here is some of the sort of dungeon-esque style a bit of music that is going to be in the Action RPG music pack. And this was inspired by some of the original music, where we have sort of a marimba almost playing along to the idea of the skeletons. I didn't go quite as far as a xylophone for it, but we've got a marimba playing. Same instrumentation that I've been playing with before. This is where I got the list of instruments from. I basically copied all that and deleted all the patterns out of the way. So I've got a sort of a template of instrumentation. That can be important if you're creating a series of music that's supposed to fit together. Having the same or similar instrumentation and not drastically different is quite important for keeping things as one. But yes, we've got a series of different themes here. And then I want to play the very last one, which is similar to what we've been working on this evening. However, a bit more fleshed out, a couple of more hours spent on it, and a bit more idea development. So this is with a harp sound playing. And there is something that I am using here that comes with FL Studio, which is its delay. So you can hear that this instrument has sort of an echo to it. And I realised I probably wouldn't shout if I had one of my headphones off. So that was just an idea of a chord pattern, basically, and nothing else. Just building up from a chord pattern and moving on from there. And that sort of thing can obviously develop into more things. But I'm going to skip to the second pattern now. There we go. And this is a very simple... I believe this is... Oh, what's this? Is this just a beat? Yeah, that's just a beat. Let's move on to pattern 3. Okay, so this is one of the ideas for sort of the marimba, the skeleton type thematic development. So let's listen to this. And this actually follows the previous chords as well. So those would actually gel together, and they've been separated out afterwards. Let's have a look at the next pattern. Okay, I really loved this as more of an eerie setting. Its instrumentation is actually a lot different from the orchestral stuff that we're doing. This is a chill guitar, as I've called it. And it might come across a bit loud, so I'm going to turn it down just a little, and let's hear how this sounds. This is more for maybe a menu scene or something along those lines, or just a really chill, very slow, quiet piece in the background. It's just a simple arpeggio. You can actually hear I've played with two different ideas there, because we have it where it drops back down, it plays those 3 notes. And then we just have it the plain. So just the 3 notes. And you could just loop that round. That is a strong enough idea in itself, I think, that it could just continue on and on. There's enough there. And obviously after a while it would start to get very repetitive. But if it's in the background, will it? A lot of the music that's in the background needs to be repetitive because you're often looping it. So, something to think about. Let's see what's on pattern 5. So another idea here is it's just going up and down a scale. More of an arpeggio, so jumping between the notes of a chord. And then if we go on to... This is another variation on it. So just building up the idea. We've got a flute motif here. So one of the things you'll notice here is, or you may notice, you may not, is that we've got the flutes, and the flutes, a variation on the flutes. So the way that a flute can be played very short and sharp, and you'll notice it changes between those two. And I think that really helps bring out the piece because you're playing short, sharp notes with technically the same instrument in real life, but played differently. So I've got these two patches and I just switch the melody between those two patches. And you can do that with a lot of instruments, especially if they've got alternative voicings. Just like on a violin or something, you can bow it, you can then hit the strings really hard with the bow, or you can do short, sharp, or you can even pluck the bow. And if you don't have the means to switch between those different voicings, you can just have different instruments and switch between them by just moving the part around on the piano roll as we were doing earlier. As you can see, I've been brilliant with my naming here. Low Chugs. I mean, is that going to be like a metal piece, Mike? What am I thinking of there? Anyway, what's this one? Pattern 8. So that's a really interesting one. That's a voicing that can go over the top of something else, and it's just meant to be there to have a little bit of a build up or something else in the background. And I actually like how this piece comes together, and I will get to the full piece in a moment. That's a very similar thing. I wish I'd named these now. It'd be much easier to talk about them. And this again is a very similar thing. So you've got multiple instruments all playing the same melody. And that can end up with it can be very overwhelming, but used sparingly, it can bring everything together. And in this particular case, I end up doing it on one set of instruments and then coming over and doing it on another set of instruments, quieter instruments. So you've got the brass going da-da-da-da, and then the clarinet and flutes in this case, repeating that, but in a much subtler way. Let's see what we've got on pattern 10. Oh, tutti. Interesting. I don't think this has got anything to do with the rest of the piece. I think this is just... I've got this idea of sort of a fanfare. So I jotted it down. This is really a cacophony. I was hoping we would jump backwards and forwards a bit between different ideas as I'm putting things together. So this is, again, the harp. And that would go really well together with the guitar we had earlier. I think it's actually an accompaniment for that. So you can see here, I've got that rocking motion that I talked about earlier. But it's for the background. It's not a main feature. Good old chords. I'm not going to play those at the moment. They're just the chords following the pattern rocking backwards and forwards. Some really deep brass, so you can really bring things together. And I think we've just got different instrumentations. Here we've got short, sharp bass notes. I actually moved this earlier, so I know that's going to be a mistake. This needs to be part of the tuba. I'll add it there as well now. Low Chugs. Okay. I've called them chugs, but they're string stabs, so really sharp. Used effectively, that can be really useful. This is interesting. So very much like that's a very simple horror riff there. What are we doing there? We are going. I'm going to use my keyboard again, the real one. Let's move this out of the way. So we're doing. Oh, that's loud. Oh, it's just a. So that's just moving. That's a used effectively. That can be really useful in anything horror wise. I've got something called Heartbeat. I bet you'll never guess what Heartbeat is going to be. It's going to be like a big bass drum or something going dum dum, or something along those lines. Yeah, of course it is. A crash. Okay,